What's happening with the money? My name is Zachary, otherwise known as the Young Investor. Today I'm going to be talking about an undiscovered stock which I think has huge potential, and I've done tons of in-depth research on it, reading through all the financial documents. I really do think this is a gem of an opportunity, so I have made it my biggest position in my portfolio. But first, please remember I am not a financial advisor, and nothing I say in this video is financial advice. Today I'm going to be talking about Peak Fintech Group, ticker symbol PKKFF. Peak are a Canadian-based firm operating in China, which provides AI-powered lending solutions to small businesses. So if you're a small business in China and you want to be able to get a loan from one of the major financial institutions, you can go onto the Peak app or mobile website, type in all the details of all the information, and they can connect you with one of these financial institutions. So this means if you default on this loan, you don't pay it back to the bank, Peak take on none of the responsibility, so they're not the ones giving you the money, it's another institution, they're just connecting you. So Peak then take a 1 to 4% fee out of this, and that's their revenue. There are over 100 million businesses in China right now which struggle to get the lending they need, so Peak is really filling in a hole in the market. The stock has not moved for about 5 months, along with the increased revenue. So in 2018, Peak took the step to really revamp their business model and made about $1.6 million in sales. In 2019, they increased that to about $11.7 million. In 2020, they achieved $42 million in sales. And in 2021, I'm expecting the company to make about $100 to $110 million in sales. Peak currently have a market cap of about $250 million. So I believe this is extremely cheap. Upstart are similar to Peak but based in the United States. So Upstart are currently trading at a market cap of over $10 billion. Are expected to make about $500 million in 2021. But then Peak in China is expected to make $110 million, and the $250 million market cap, in my opinion, it really just doesn't add up in terms of the valuation. So Peak lost about $1.9 million in 2020, but I'm expecting them to become profitable in about Q3, Q4 of this year because of their increased leverage, and that is also backed up by Zach's research. Peak suspended guidance in January because they are currently negotiating a deal that would significantly impact the future of the company. When they announced the JD.com deal, somebody sent to investor relations and the company and asked, is this the deal? Which is the reason you suspended guidance? They said no, it isn't. So if it's not going to be JD.com or ShopX, which is this huge deal which are currently negotiating, what kind of company could it be? Well, this narrows down to some of the biggest players in China, including the likes of Alibaba and Tencent, or maybe a competitor to something like JD.com, but they're going to do a way bigger deal. So in my projections, I'm thinking about $880 to $1 billion in revenue for about 2025-2026. If they can continue on the current expansion rate, the company also has plans to expand into 6 other countries, starting with North America this year. So I believe that with all these other countries and the current growth in China, I do think Peak really has a good shot at making that $1 billion in revenue. And that a company currently valued at $250 million, if they can do that in 2025 or 2026, this could be a $4 billion company, keeping in mind that they're still a high growth company at that time. And let's look at another company similar, which I was just talking about, Upstart. So basically, if you're a bank, Upstart are based in the United States and they put their software into the bank's website and then get paid through the bank. So Upstart are expected to make about $500 million in 2021 revenue. And I think that's actually conservative, so I'd be thinking 500 to 550 million. Upstart are currently profitable in 2020 and made approximately $6 million, and the market cap right now at Upstart is over $10 billion. But then Peak's market cap is $250 million, $110 million this year in sales, so maybe let's say they're about 2 to 3 years behind Upstart. I think comparing the valuations to other players growing as fast as Peak, and especially Peak are one of the unique fintech plays in the Chinese market, I do believe Peak is significantly undervalued. So now let's talk about the risks involved with Peak. Peak have low institutional ownership currently, according to Simply Wall Street, with it hovering around 5%, so a majority of shares are on the public markets. But so far in the correction for growth stocks, Peak has held up extremely well, having a downswing of maybe let's say 10%. Another risk to Peak is also a macro scale, so let's say there's a huge interest rate rise. This could detract businesses from wanting to get loans, so then Peak, might get less customers than expected. But with a company which has hardly got anything priced into the market cap right now, I don't think this should be a huge concern to investors. So Peak will be doing a Nasdaq uplist very shortly. They've told us imminently, so this could be in the next few days or the next month. And during this Nasdaq uplist, Peak will most likely have to perform a reverse split. This will most likely be a 2-for-1 reverse split, which the board reserve the right to do. So reverse splits can go either way. Reverse splits do not positively or negatively affect the company. So nothing changes with the fundamentals, nothing changes with the market cap of the company. It just means for every 2 shares in existence, there will only be 1, but the share price would be, instead of 2, it would be $4, which is the amount that is needed to get onto the Nasdaq. Now these can go really either way, as I said. A lot of penny stocks have 40% downswings because of these uplists, and another one which I was watching recently had over 100% upswing, so it can go either way for these kind of companies, but it's something to bear in mind. And as I said, Peak have recently had a huge volume of institutions inquiring about buying into a Nasdaq uplist, so Peak will be doing originally $15 million, by now projecting around $35 to $45 million to institutions, which will greatly strengthen the balance sheet and quash all debt troubles and allow them to get into different countries such as North America and different continents. Peak is currently my biggest position in my portfolio at over 30%. I'm extremely bullish on it. I like to invest in companies which have low risk and high rewards, and I think Peak is one of these companies. It has a downswing because of the Nasdaq uplist and a reverse split. I'd buy more of the stock, and I can see the company being a $30 stock in a few years. Thank you so much for watching this video, Dumb Money. Really appreciate it. Make sure you go check out my channel and Dumb Money's channel. Young Investor, out.